Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Welcome, Senator. It's good to talk to you. As I understand it, you went to Mississippi State, you root for them, but you also root for the Tennessee Volunteers, which is not a surprise given whom you represent.
That is so true. I also root for Vandy, which is a pretty good baseball school, too. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You got lots of places to vote for. So give us your reactions to this ruling, because it was a somewhat limited ruling. As I say, it was education-related benefits. But it said basically you schools, you colleges can't all get together and agree you're not going to go past a certain point. Do you think this is good for college athletics or not?
I do think that this is good for college athletics, and I do think that this is somewhat overdue. When you look at the amount of money that is involved in college athletics, and you look at the NCAA and the way they have really taken advantage of the contracts with networks and with these schools, and the way this process has worked, and you have coaches and the NCAA that are just really using these dollars, but you don't have anything accruing to the student. And we are focused very narrowly on name, image, and likeness. And the reason for this is because technology, utilization of technology, has allowed these student athletes, long before they are chosen and they sign with the school to play with the school, they've been building their online presence with YouTube, with Instagram. Their parents have been building out websites for these young athletes. And then they go to college and all of that goes into shutdown. And we think it's important for them to retain this ownership, for them to own their name, image, and likeness. Many states have chosen to move forward with different forms of legislation that recognize the need for students to own their name, image, and likeness. And Tennessee is one of those. And the University of Tennessee is even beginning a class in the Haslam School of Business that would work with athletes, encouraging them as to how they could use social media. They could use this as an educational and entrepreneurial activity during their college career.
So I certainly take your point that a lot of schools, including my alma mater, University of Michigan, they make a lot of money off of things like their football program, their basketball program. At the same time, the NCAA comes back and says, wait a second, there's a risk here of really undermining some of the competitiveness, the spirit of amateur athletics. You're going to make these people into pros. What do you say to that?
I say the NCAA is looking after their pocketbook on this. And obviously, their in-house counsel, Donald Remy, has given them poor advice on how to approach these issues and how to work with the colleges and how to handle some of the issues that student athletes have faced, whether it has to do with scholarship eligibility or health care, or in the case of what I'm working on, which is the ownership of their NIL.
Well, talk about, for example, the NIL, the name, image, and likeness you're talking about. If you make the progress you're making on that subject and student athletes, amateur athletes can receive money for that, does that affect at all the likelihood that they'll stay in school and get their degree? Because let's be honest, the thought was these were student athletes. We sort of wanted them to graduate.
Well, and you do want them to graduate. You do want them to continue to participate in collegiate sports, absolutely. And this has been a wonderful opportunity for so many young people who are the first in their families to attend college and to get that college degree. That is a real, true point of achievement for those families and those student athletes. But there is also a way to approach this. Maybe they retain the ownership. Maybe other universities will do what UT is doing and establish a class. Maybe these funds go into a trust that will mature and come to them at the point that they graduate and finish their college eligibility. This is not an insurmountable problem. What has proven to be the problem is that the NCAA has studied this. They've had committees. Mark Emmert, the CEO of the NCAA, just cannot seem to make his mind up about how he wants to approach and then resolve the issue.
A little good old-fashioned foot dragging there. Thank you so much to Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican of Tennessee, and this is Bloomberg.